Adding medieval weapons to dogs playing on the beach needs to become a thing. Sword-wielding medieval knight vigilante takes on a street gang. The flexibility of medieval knight's armor. Never forget this gem from 2016. The average American worker takes less vacation time than a medieval peasant. A face of a medieval man reconstructed. A medieval's times bathroom. The medieval royalty urge to always have entertainment while eating. In Shrek 2, the guards grind peppers directly onto Shrek's eyes, since pepper spray had yet to be invented. So today I learned about medieval beekeeping outfits. We're extremely creepy. How movies portray medieval battles. Bonk. How they actually went. Poke. God creates dogs. Medieval painters who never saw one in person. Help. The dragon has invaded my village. My honest reaction. Rare physiognomy. You don't see too many medieval faces anymore. Bro looks like he worked in the fields, or maybe in the lower ranks within the castle. Imagine farting so good that the king gives you a 30-acre estate when thou needed to pee, but thou art in fine armor. My new favorite genre is people in medieval manuscripts who have been stabbed but simply do not care. I bet there is a couple seconds on that medieval torture stretcher rack where it feels incredible. We don't talk enough about medieval Canadian weapons, medieval space program. The olden days, back when men wearing skirts was cool. Here's a picture of a medieval cat's paw over an ancient manuscript from over 900 years ago. He wanted to help his owner with the writing. I think if I went back in time and gave some medieval bitch even just one of my sour Skittles, they would actually die. Who would win? All of Europe. A sick rat. Too soon. It has been 7.5 centuries. Imagine doing it in the 19th century. OMG, you would spend 15 minutes unbuttoning 650 buttons, only to get the thing that hasn't been washed since last week's river bath water. Do you remember the guy who hit a drone with a javelin at a medieval reenactment thing? They made him a commemorative runestone. Doctors in medieval times. When someone steps on your toe, we will cut off your leg. Doctors now. Heroes. Medieval doctors, when they drill a hole in someone's skull and they end up killing them rather than relieving them of their headache. Being a princess in pop culture. Dad, I want more gifts. Yes, honey. Being a princess in medieval times. My daughter, it is time for you to get married to the heir of the kingdom I want an alliance with. Yes, father. How do I get one of these in my house? Your butt napkins, my liege. Report. Catapult industry will not survive another year without medieval war breaking out. Do you ever wonder what the hell went down exactly in the Middle Ages? A small medieval boy, after he sees the fifth person today, ran out of a time machine and give him sour candy. In medieval Germany, married couples could legally settle their disputes by fighting a marital duel. To even the field, the man had to fight from inside a hole with one arm tied behind his back. The woman was free to move and was armed with a sack filled with rocks when you need to child-proof the house. But you're medieval. Just as in fiction. Please stop making fun of me. I only wish to be freed from this living nightmare. Just as in reality, I am fed, clothed, well paid. I can insult the king without consequences, and I am in some cases among his most important advisors. Memento homo, an ancient Latin saying that translates approximately to remember you are gay. How girls cut Caesar, how boys cut Caesar. People today, people are so violent and depraved these days. Things were better in the olden days. Medieval people, lol. Let's just saw this guy in half. Catholic priests in the Middle Ages, after telling everyone that they can pay to get into heaven. Okay, first, you're being a total dick right now when she replies with just okay, so you are trying to figure out what you did wrong. Medieval knights visiting a poor village be like trying to take a selfie in 1646. Me, before and after I've eaten. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Why is that woman holding a baguette with a face so tender and mild? They cancelled the medieval fair due to the virus. Why didn't they just run with it? People dying from a plague would make it pretty realistic, I think. Medieval peasants worked only about 150 days in a year. The church believed it was important to keep them happy with frequent mandatory holidays. Medieval alchemist attempts to create elixir of life. Enough with the zodiac signs. What is your favorite medieval helmet? Ribbit. When you're about to be born, but it's into medieval Europe, you will be immediately killed by this action. Proceed. At my daughter's school, it's medieval day. Everyone wore Disney princess dresses or homemade night costumes. This kid marches to his own drum when they hurt your ego, so you destroy their government. You are all stuck in 2022, running out of toilet paper, while I'm living in 100 BC, when you are losing the battle, but then you remember it's 1349 AD, and you were probably going to die of the plague anyway. Who is this graceful, medieval noblewoman? Medieval peasant, when you explain his acre of land and small thatched cottage is now worth 3 million. On a scale of medieval owl, how are you feeling today? 9. King Harold, the second army has landed in England. Look at my face. Do you think this is a fucking game? This realm be the only land where rhetoric gets misinterpreted. You may proclaim, I enjoy bread and a peer will respond, so doth hates potato. Nay cur, that is a whole new thought. What in Lord's name art thou talking about? Looks like the DJ was popping off. My dad, after I say there's got to be more than life than farming and paying taxes to the local lord. A thread of medieval paintings of animals that look nothing like real animals because the artists had never seen them, starting with the oyster, this elephant with a tornado trunk, this crocodile with a cougar head, a whale, unknown artist, 13th century. The Middle Ages were a very exciting time in Europe, calling them pants, calling them pantaloons, me and the boys on our way back to tell the king that we just lost the war. Is nobody going to talk about this painting? I mean, those men are just casually riding their beards. Never mind them. I'm more concerned about the guy kidnapping a woman with his beard. Medieval Europe in movie/documentaries. Nobody. Medieval frog defending his child from a fire skeleton. Kitty prints in medieval floor tiles. Modern designs on medieval helmets actually don't look bad. Fossil evidence of those giant snails that knights were always fighting in medieval art. Medieval painters. What is a feline? A miserable and fuzzy humanoid perhaps. My friend had a medieval themed wedding and her grandpa showed up like this. If we were in medieval times, I would go broke buying tomatoes to throw at you. Whenever I eat soup with bread on the side, I like to pretend I'm in a medieval tavern, having supper after a long day of traveling. When I used to drink, I learned that if you're persistent enough, you can get a medieval's times cast member to jump off of a horse and into the stands to attack you during dinner. Manhole cover in Germany. Descend. Tight spiral clockwise staircases like that were an important part of medieval defense because it would give one side an advantage in ability to maneuver their right hand. What I'm saying is, Germany is clearly preparing for a sword fight with the mole men, and I'm scared. Some people have a resting bitch face. Adam Driver has resting professor of theology, listening to his students present a report on religious symbolism in medieval art that they copied off of Wikipedia face. Medieval Europeans. We need to keep our bloodlines pure, their children. Medieval battles in Hollywood. Real medieval battles, waiting for the enemy castle to just give up. Me, trying to change at the gym. Some old dude's pee-pee. I love this. There are moments, internet, when you approach great art. This is one of them. I feel like if you gave a medieval peasant a flavored blasted goldfish, they would probably die. You all have very low opinions of medieval peasants. What are you? Medieval lords. Each year in Pennsylvania, there is a 2-week-long mock medieval war that draws over 10,000 participants. All are required to dress in medieval clothes and camp in pavilions. It has kings, queens, lords, and a medieval university with real classes. Medieval English longbows could fire an arrow more than 300 yards and required so much strength that the skeletons of medieval archers can be identified by their enlarged left arms. Sinkhole opened in a Cornish backyard, leading 300 feet down into a medieval mineshaft. Is this what Bethesda thinks babies are? It's just like medieval paintings. Guys, I'm at a Blizzard event at medieval times. Genji just lost and he looks so sad. Dog continues to shine in medieval plaque thanks to tourists constantly giving the good boy pets. How medieval arguments escalated. Pair arrested after apartment sword fight in Texas. Here's what Disney princesses would look like if they were medieval siege engines capable of launching 90-kilogram projectiles over 300 meters. The medieval castle, located in that place, has been owned and occupied by the same family for over 850 years. Cat churning butter, Germany, 12th century. I'm a bitch, okay, don't get this. This man's limb appears to have been removed by blunt force trauma, and a knife was later secured in its steed. I want to be a big boob. I don't know if I should read this. 2022. I took a long life crippling loan and fought 2 years of paperwork just to buy an old apartment in the concrete shithole next to a highway. Medieval times. This patch of land by the forest looks nice and has a nice view of the clear mountain creek. I will ask around the village if people want to help me build my house here. I'm not staring at you. I'm zoned out, thinking about how I would start a brewery in medieval England, whilst my eyes just happened to be facing in your direction. Those walls, what are they? Sir, those are enemies. Skeleton, England, 15th century, when everyone is getting lit, but you remember that one weird thing you did in July 2007? Being a straight white male in where have you been? I have not seen you in ages. Me, who asked? Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with their experience. Half of the peasants die of a famine, the nobles doubling the taxes to compensate. When you hear some giant strawberries talking shit behind your back, me getting stabbed as usual. Lol, what can you do? I'm sorry, but the idea of Star Trek cosplayers walking around a Renaissance fair like time travelers will always be hilarious and amazing to me. Dragons in European folklore, dragons in Asian folklore. When your love for Ben & Jerry's escalate into a human ice cream sandwich, don't come over here with your bullshit. Me, coming with my bullshit. When you are acting hard in front of the squad, but your horse knows you are a bitch. Not a cell phone in sight, just people living in the moment. A Viking could have excavated a T-Rex skull and claimed to have slain a dragon, and no one would have doubted it at all. When you pet a dog and the owner says, wow, he never lets strangers do that. Concept, the secret boss of a video game, is the merchant you've traded with this whole time, and their combat abilities are based entirely on what you have sold them. For example, did you sell them necromancy skull books? Well, shit, they can summon a skeleton army. Yeah, I'm really scared of the guy with 30 rusted iron swords and 200 fruitcakes. When your friend says something stupid and you have to check if they still have a brain. Out in public, acceptable. Reading, listening to music, discussing a show, using your phone, not acceptable. Impaling people on spikes. When demons show up to possess you, but you've just woken up. Can't we do this in like an hour? When you bite into a raisin cookie thinking it was a chocolate chip. Pope, no, you can't have a divorce, Henry. Henry, but it's not fair. Pope, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Start up your own church and convert the entire country just to get rid of your wife? Henry. This woman pictures before and after a panic attack to show that mental illness can affect anyone. I challenge you to a duel, but I'm just an old fisherman. I'm unarmed. I'm sorry to see about that. Gullible fool. When your dog's 7,000 followers demands perfection. Medieval cities in cartoons. Medieval cities in reality. Standing up too fast. The television with no signal. A limb falling asleep. My bag's fallen asleep before. Medieval. Okay, this meme is so overused. The Virgin Catapult versus the Chad Trebuchet. No background checks for medieval artillery. Here's what Disney princesses would look like if they were on a crusade to retake the Holy Land. Please come to Toronto. I am your biggest fan. Like, no offense to my friends and family, but if I had the chance to abandon this timeline for a medieval fantasy land, I would absolutely do it. Goodbye student loans and depression, hello cool magic shit, and most likely an early death by the sword, as it should be. Have fun shitting in outhouses and losing loved ones to the plague. Medieval fantasy, not actual medieval times, you impudent fool. Have fun crapping in outhouses and losing loved ones to the goblin raiders. That's more the fuck like it. Me, hoping that my candle not extinguish before the morrow lest I be consumed by Frederick Leopold Fazberington. I used to wear a chainmail shirt to elementary school. The teachers never knew what to do about it because there was no section in our dress code forbidding medieval armor. Where does an elementary school child get access to an actual shirt of chainmail sized properly for them? Growing up as a historical reenactor meant that my parents are friends with a lot of people who make chainmail. My godsister received a real rapier in 4th or 5th grade, so our unsupervised outdoor playtime was, I worked with toddlers and preschoolers for 3 years. Sometimes I accidentally slip and tell a friend to say bye to an inanimate object, and occasionally they unthinkingly just do it. I'm glad there is a teacher version of accidentally calling someone mum. When I worked at medieval times, occasionally I would slip in real life and call people my lord. Funny memes that are kind of medieval related. History nerds. This is not accurate. They did not have guns in the medieval era.